أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So this is Surah An-Nas, and this is our second session for that. Let's reread and remember Surah An-Nas. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. Say, I seek refuge in the Lord, Rabb of people, An-Nas, mankind. Malik An-Nas, the king or the sovereign of mankind. Ilahi An-Nas, the God of mankind. Min sharri al-waswas al-khannas, from the evil of the sneaking whisperer. الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس, who whispers in the chests of mankind, of people. من الجنة والناس, of the jinn and of the people. Last time we discussed these along the lines of these questions. I'm just putting them here. We'll try to make it a super brief reminder. So again, we are seeking refuge. So we were, as we did in Al-Falaq, the notion of why, from whom, to whom would I seek refuge? This was the first question we discussed. And then along these three verses, there was a repetition of Rabbin Nas, Malikin Nas, Ilahin Nas. And we discussed this quite a bit. We said that it's not Rabbi wa Malik wa Ilahin Nas, for example, but Nas was repeated 3 times. And why is it that the emphasis, those 3 names are picked? Rabb, the Lord, maintainer, caretaker, merciful teacher. Malik, king, sovereign. Ilah, creator of people. Why is this mentioned? So in this sense, one of the things that I remember we discussed was, first, for seeking refuge, you realize your impotence, your neediness. On the other side, the one who attacks you is so, let's say, out of control relative to you, that you are seeking refuge from someone who owns the one who is attacking you, plus who made you weak as you are. So this is why I am speaking to the one who created me as a human being, who is my maintainer, who is my sustainer, who is the one who has power over me, because something is disturbing me, attacking me, and the one I am, if this is the right word, implore or asking from must be the one, or I should be convinced that the one who is attacking me is also under the authority of the one who created me. And I'm also realizing that the one who attacks me is attacking me as a human. So the Nas portion in here is, I consider myself as among people, like I am not one of the animals, for example. So, because if I consider human as a thinking animal, speaking animal, like how do I define human? So in here, I am not specifically considering myself as a human. I am a distinct creation, and I'm aware that my creator created me in this way purposefully. So it's not by chance, it's by nothing, but specifically my creator wills something of me to be as I am. Then I'm asking from my creator to, and it will come. What am I asking from him will come. But I guess overall, there's this emphasis of me recognizing myself as a human being. And just to emphasize once more the importance of that, if this was an example of a school, I would speak to the, let's say, university's president. Let's take it as the example in this case. I say, oh, the chief teacher of the students. Oh, the president of the students. Oh, I don't know, Ila, I couldn't find a proper word for that, but I am addressing the university president. I mean, it's not the best of examples, but take it as such. I'm addressing the university president as knowing that I am a student, and my relationship with the president is of me being a student, him being the teacher, him being here to facilitate my teaching. So this is why humanness in here, I think, is important. So this was the part that we started discussing last time, min sharril waswasil khannas, from the evil of the sneaking whisperer.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
With the previous ayah, like you were emphasizing the humanness because of the nas, and if you don't mind, for ignorant people like myself, how would you link before nas and the nas, like the ilah and nas, malik and nas, rab and nas, like how they relate to humanness?
So Rab is, there's this maintainer, caretaker. So I am realizing that I am being maintained, I am being taken care of, and I am seeking refuge in that one who is taking care of me. Because somebody is attacking me, like whispers as it will come, and I'm feeling vulnerable to that. But I see that somebody is taking care of me like tip to toe. So in all aspects, I'm being taken care of. That's why I'm seeking refuge in him. And then Malik, so for Malik, this sovereignty, so who has a say on me? So, because like one thing that comes to my mind when we talk about Malik is, as we were also discussing last time, church and state separation. Yeah, somehow God has a place in my life in here and there in certain locations. But when it comes to, let's say, human dealings, we go with what the state says, what the law that among us as humans we agreed upon. This becomes how we deal with each other. So, but when I say Malik An-Nas, I'm saying that no, you are the one who govern me. What you say makes sense to me. It's not that at least I am expecting the reference point of right and wrong to be you. You are the one who have a saying in my life in all sense of the word. But am I aware of that? Why is that relevant? Because really sometimes it's because of this Malik that we have those whispers. So I start giving power to people or people's comments. And let's say Atik makes a nasty comment about me and I get obsessed and go and commit suicide. I am so sensitive, Atik, don't do that. So what did I do? I gave the command or the power to Atik to rule me in this sense. So, and waswas is like this. Those whispers will come and I will start taking them as real. I can potentially take them, navigate me in this life. So now I'm saying that, oh, you are my king, not this whisperer. Yeah.
So how can you identify something as a whisper and not as a truth? What is the way?
Yes, inshallah, we'll get to that. Keep that question. What is a whisper? When we talk about min sharril waswasil khannas, let's talk about whisper. And then ilahin nas, this is the most general because there also seems to be a hierarchy of Rab, Malik, and now Ilah, the creator. So now I am coming to the point that in all aspects of me, I am being given existence by you. And even including, you gave me this ear which listens from this whisperer. Like I am hearing that whisper, I mean, metaphorical ear that I have somewhere, but I am open for those whispers. So the whisper is there, but it could have been that I don't have a receiver for that type of input. But I am given a way that in all my creation, you are the one who create me with everything that I have. And I am feeling weak in this sense. So I'm asking for your help in this regard. This is what I remember for these so far. Anything you would like to add? Anybody? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Like I didn't realize it before, to be honest. The moment you mentioned the Nas and human needs, it struck me. Is the couples, the Rab Nas, Malik Nas, and then Rab Nas. It's kind of also defining what being Nas, being human, is. As kind of, defining based on the opposite. Like you are the Rab, not me. And then therefore, I am the one who needs to be taken care of. Or proper way would be, I need to be taken care of, thus you are the Rab. I'm the one who needs to be ruled, thus you are the many. And I'm the one who needs to be, I don't know, they have dominion, hence you are the Ilah.
Yes.
This also defines what you being human means.
Actually, that's a very beautiful point. There is a supplication of famous Uwais al-Qarani like this. So, and it was like, it's one page, it's not too long. He says, Ilahi, anta rabbi wa ana al-abdu, anta al-khaliq wa ana al-makhluq. It goes on like this, and the idea is, you are my Lord because I am being sustained. You are my creator because I am being created. So I get to know you as my creator, as my sustainer, because I am being created, I am being sustained, I am being given, let's say, healing and whatnot. So how do I get to know my Rabb? By looking at my humanity. How do I get to know my king, my sovereign? By looking at my humanity, and know him as my creator by looking at my humanity. And actually, this is related to Surah Al-Falaq as well, because Al-Falaq, as we were discussing before, was talking about the whole creation and how everything is being created after splitting of something else. So this was an outside world where the creation was taking place. And by looking at that constant splitting and a new creation coming out, I was finding my creator and seeking refuge in him. Now I am looking at the self as a human and seeking refuge in the one who is governing this and creating this. So now let's come to waswasa. Min sharr al-waswas al-khannas, from the evil of the sneaking whisperer.
Can we also say that, like when we read these ayahs, 4, 5, and going forward, we should be take this definition of humanness as the base. Like when we try to understand what waswasa is, for instance, we should remember that we are humans, meaning we need to be taken care of, we need to be ruled, and so on and so forth. Then anything opposite of this will be a kind of waswasa.
Okay. Inshallah, you will repeat that again when we ask waswasa.
Yeah.
Okay. So, sharr al-waswas al-khannas. This is the thing that I am seeking refuge from. So the evil of the sneaking whisperer. So we asked those questions last week. We started discussing them. We might even have finished them, but let's remember. What is whisper? What is waswasa? Have you ever experienced it? This was one of the questions we asked last time. And why is it characterized as sneaking? Would you agree with that, for example? Because this might help with Atik's question as well. So waswasa is being described as something sneaking, or at least the whisper is described as sneaking. It's not like openly, here I am, come, I mean, that's not the attitude. It's more like a sneaking attitude is being mentioned. Is it evil? Is it sometimes evil, always, never? Like, is waswasa pure evil? This was another question. And then, is whispering a job of someone? Like a third person is being mentioned here for as whisperer. Like it's not me, it's not my creator, but that third person is being mentioned as an outsider job, if you would like to put it this way. Is it? If it is so, what does that mean? What is the significance of that? Okay, a set of questions. Wherever you would like to start from. Zerine, you have something?
Yeah, I guess I could summarize some of what we talked about last time. So I guess one reason we characterized mindfulness was as sneaky was because it can seem like, just like a friendly suggestion, like, oh, like you can do this if you want to, but like you don't have to. So it's kind of this like back and forth kind of like push and pull to like not like outright command you to like do something bad, but gradually kind of like suggest it. And then I guess in terms of like whether they're evil, we talked about how it's our responsibility to take responsibility for our choices. And so we talked about how sticking with the whispers and like actually listening to them and acting upon them is evil, but the creation of like the whispers themselves is not evil because their purpose is to like teach us something, perhaps like about our humanity and what it means to be a human, and it also teaches us to distinguish between what is right and wrong. And so I know in sort of the funnel, we also talked about how sort of the way humans are meant to learn is by like, being able to distinguish right and wrong. And I don't know if we talked about whether it's the job of someone, but I guess the automatic kind of response I have is like I think of it like instinctively maybe it's the job of like shaitan or like the shayateen, but I guess there could also be a whispering of like my nafs, like myself too. I don't know if there's like a distinction between those two.
Okay, very good. Inshallah, we'll get to that, but before I forget, let me talk about bring one of the this verse. Since it's time, let's discuss this verse. I was planning to put it to the end, but وَقَالَ الشَّيْطَانُ لَمَّا قُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ. When everything has been decided, Satan says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَعَدَكُمْ وَعَدَ الْحَقِّ وَوَعَدْتُكُمْ فَأَخْلَفْتُكُمْ. God gave you a true promise. I too made promises, but they were false ones. Like I deceived you. أخلفتكم. وما كان لي عليكم من سلطان إلا أن دعوتكم. I had no power over you except to call you. And you responded to my call. فاستجبتم لي فلا تلوموني ولوموا أنفسكم. So do not blame me, blame yourselves. ما أنا بمصرخكم وما أنتم بمصرخي. I cannot help you, nor can you help me. إني كفرت بما أشركتموني من قبل. I reject the way you associated me with God before. إن الظالمين لهم عذاب أليم. A bitter torment awaits such wrongdoers. This is how Satan is actually exposing himself to us. Once the thing is done. When does this happen? Once the thing is decided? Is it after death? No, even after something happens. Like it could be like doing something, a suggestion comes to me. It's a suggestion. But then, if I go by the suggestion, who do I blame for that wrongdoing? The suggester would say that, well, it was just an idea. I was even just practicing my English, he could say, right? I just formed this sentence. You fell for it. I mean, I didn't push you. I didn't force you. I just formed the sentence jokingly. You take it serious. But that's the truth. I had no power over you except to call you. It was just a suggestion. It must be an insisting suggestion and whatnot, but it's a suggestion. It does not have a power over me. But if Atik makes a comment about my beard once, 2 times, 3 times, when next time I look at the mirror, I will just say, is he right? Does he have a point there? And if he keeps repeating the same comments, maybe I will consider some change to my beard style. Does he have a power over me? He's just making a comment. He didn't do anything more than that. But I responded to that call. I took it serious. But let's go to the previous part of the verse, which Atik was asking. How do I distinguish whisper from truth? إن الله وعدكم وعد الحق ووعدتكم فأخلفتكم. God gave you a true promise. I too made promises, but I mean, this is a free translation, but let's go with that. But they were false ones. So how do I know whether a whisper is a whisper or it has a truth? It has a reality. How do I distinguish that? This is question 1. Question 2, we can now take it to what Zareen was saying. How do I know that it's not mine, but coming from outside? Yes.
So I guess for the first part, you want to see the resolution of, how listening to or ignoring the whisper, how that resolves itself. Maybe we talked about it last week, the story of Adam, how that was an example of a story of listening to the waswasa and, having your aura exposed and learning and, feeling that exposure, coming to ask for forgiveness because you realize you've made a mistake.
You will be made aware, right? Because once everything has been decided, you know that Satan is not talking. So, in fact, even in that story of Adam alayhi salam, now metaphorically read the scene. They ate from the tree, and then they realized that it was a lie. So in there, by them feeling their nakedness, actually it is what Satan is telling them. Or they can hear Satan either literally or metaphorically speaking to them, saying that, look, I just told you that if you eat from that tree, you will become eternal. You see, you're not eternal. So it was definitely a lie. And now you are aware of it. As to me, I just made a suggestion. It was a lie, yes, but I didn't force you to do something. You made the choice. So responsibility is yours. And I do not agree with what I just said. It was a lie, I know. I tricked you, but I reject what you associated me with God before. I'm not taking it. I just made that suggestion. You did it wrongly. Yes.
This one, everything was talking, also just like you made now. I was thinking about, I don't know from the religious perspective, I was just thinking about like, from a young age, like, the idea of shaitan kind of takes a backseat actually in my culture. We focus on this like your nafs. They're like, if you keep following your nafs, ultimately, like you'll end up in a whole something along that line. Translation here, but so I guess when I was thinking about that, like, it's not just like from 0 to 100. There's kind of like steps. Like first, this like small whisper about something that maybe I didn't think was that wrong, like some desire I had. Because I also think about like, did it come from thin air? It's a desire maybe I thought I wanted. And then there's a whisper. And then I'm like, well, you could do it, like maybe, maybe not. But it's the small one, so I'm like, okay, well, it's really not that bad. And before I know it, now I'm at 100. Now I've actually like built up. Or is it always like extreme ends? Because I often feel like have I not done the small ones, maybe I'm not gonna be at the forefront of like, oh, I just said yes to so many, now I don't even know what I'm at.
Mhm, mhm. So can it be, I'm asking, I don't have a clear answer to that. Can it be that in myself or in my nafs, there are certain potentialities? Okay. Probably was the example we gave last week here. Like I miss sweet tooth. I like sweets, eating candies and whatnot. Potentially. But somebody comes and says, oh, if you eat this candy, you will enjoy so much. I eat it. Well, I said, well, it was good, but I didn't enjoy it so much, but it was good. But then I keep repeating that. And then I become infatuated by this, and it becomes like an addiction to me to eat more and more. So and it even becomes an addiction. So my self, my nafs, which could have been treated just to eat a little bit of sweet and know where to stop. But since I didn't put that boundary, because human is not really put that boundary, and with the whisper that was coming from outside saying that if you eat this, you're going to be ultimately or infinitely happy, infinitely satisfied. If you eat this baklava, it's going to give you that pure satisfaction. Always I fell for it. And then eventually that side of me grows so much out of control because since I was not put any limit, and with my choice, I didn't put that limit, although Sharia puts that limit. This is why Sharia is there. Sharia says you can eat sweet, let's say for that example, up to here. Beyond that, no. But I didn't go that. And in this case, nafs commanding me to do evil means I have this potentiality to eat more and more of it. And then the whisperer came and abused this aspect of mine, and I kept listening to it. So, but the whisperer would say that I just told you to eat more, but I didn't force you to eat. So you chose to eat. So this is why I guess nafs versus shaitan in this case is shaitan is giving a whisper which would stick. Like if I didn't have a tongue, a whisper about, oh, eat this sweet wouldn't make any sense. So whisper comes to a point where it makes sense to take it serious. So that's why a side, which is the recipient end or the vulnerable end, is on me. But the whisper is coming from outside. So this how I can make sense of nafs commanding evil versus Satan commanding evil. So nafs, but nafs could have been treated as well, though. Like the very same thing of eating sweet, I mean, this very horrible example, could have been used for taste it and say, oh, this is given from the creator, the sustainer, the provider. I offer my thanks to him, not to the sweet, not to the baklava. And he says, stop here, I will stop here. I'm not going to eat more. And you can just pick any example for that. It's just a toy example. Because you can think of it for eating cow, but not pork, like having a relationship with your wife, but not to random people and whatnot. Like all these sort of things are where we are really failing in terms of those nafs wise. Yes, nafs has this desire in there, but if not treated, and if I keep following the whispers, this is where it will go. But so going back to, so we were talking about two things. It has no power over you. And it's, oh yeah, Dua, go ahead.
I think I also asked for whether or not you can blame the waswasa for like you actually doing the action. I think I'm also seeing the significance in God telling us about waswasa beforehand, because it's like this. So if I'm eating McDonald's every day and I die of like, I don't know, like heart attack or something, right? I feel like I can blame McDonald's as long as they didn't tell me the side effects of the food or they didn't tell me the ingredients of the food. But as long as they told me, this is fatty, this might cause heart attack, or like cigarettes, for example, and they tell you, this can cause lung disease. Then after that, when I go towards that thing and when I, like still do that thing, the blame lies on me. So I feel like that first story it's almost like God giving us the fine print. Like the very first story that you hear about man is that, like Satan told him that, like, or whispered that, eat from this tree, and he listened. So the one who created the waswasa is telling you that it is harmful. So then when you listen to that whisper, like the blame lies on you. But I feel like it wouldn't if you didn't know the story and you didn't know that waswasa was bad.
So, from the point of view of Satan, Satan says, I just made you a suggestion. If I take it from humans' creation point of view, which now we are taking because of Rabbin Nas, Malikin Nas, Ilahin Nas, my creator created Satan and his whispers and made me vulnerable for that for a purpose. And this is where we are getting from, and we discussed this last week, from Adam alayhi salam's story, saying that you are meant to make that mistake. But you are expected to, or also you are meant to repent as well. As a human, this is how you are meant to learn. You will be challenged with, you will be instructed with truth. وَعَدَكُمْ وَعَدَ الْحَقِّ. Your creator gives you truth. And then you're also presented with false options. And you are meant to make a choice between the two. You have aspects in you which confirms truth. You have aspects in you which does not like truth. Falsehood. Let's say somehow you couldn't distinguish, or for whatever reason you choose the wrong. Immediately you are being let know that it doesn't have any truth. Because somebody said that, if you put your money into this house, you're going to become super rich. Invest money on flipping houses, somebody said. And you did the thing, and no money. You didn't earn anything. Then what do you say? It was a lie. So it was not true. So you are being instructed as to what it is very soon. So the point is, I should step back. And this is the learning process. If you learn, if you repent and say that I wronged myself, that was the point. You didn't lose anything. Actually, this was the point. You're making a mistake, learning, and not repeating the same thing was the point. So now I'm taking it to, before Jin. Okay. So what is, especially for the whispers, I would say for many of them, let's not make a super general case, but many of the waswasa, to the extent that I am disturbed by it, it's an evidence that it's not mine.
Disturbed by what?
Disturbed by that idea, that feeling that's coming. Like, for example, a very clear example of it, as Imam Nursi is also giving, says you're at the prayer and you are in front of Kaaba, and then something super ugly comes to your mind. He uses even the example of which could happen in extreme cases. For some people, a very bad word comes to your mind about God, about Prophet, about something. See, and then you get very much excited. How corrupt my heart is. I am in the prayer in front of Kaaba and such ideas come to my mind. Like, how come? What sort of a human being I am? So if that idea was mine, if I was confirming this, I would be okay with that. But the very fact that I dislike it is a sign that it's not mine. So if you do not approve, if I approve it, then it's mine. Then I'm responsible for it. But me disliking it is a sign that I'm not approving it in the first place, so it's not my responsibility. So whisper, in this case, there's one way really to identify whispers, especially as it comes to the more dangerous territory, which is belief matters. As my convictions about my iman, this is the ultimate goal, if you like, of the whisper, to train me about matters of belief. And it starts practically from and a fruit offering you eternity, or buying a certain house giving you security. Like I don't need to pay rent anymore. I bought my house. Now I am secure. This false sense of security is still, if you think about it, has its roots in my iman. But it's very much on the surface. Because I was talking to my sister. At the earthquake, their house was heavily damaged. And she was saying that my attitude towards material has changed quite a bit after the earthquake. Because buying a house and settling in means at least we have a house, is what you say. But they don't. So something that you can rely on is not there. So it sounds very detached or far away from Iman, really, but it's a matter of Iman. It is Iman, actually. Iman is applied in everyday life. So, but this is where it starts. But eventually, it could be that, is there really a God? I mean, maybe many people do not have this sort of a dialogue or monologue within themselves. But this is the ultimate way of having a waswasa within you. Like if God was fair, why is he splitting, let's say, inheritance, two to male, one to female? Males are wearing, look how nice and fashion and whatnot. Females, we are supposed, why? Many questions can come, right? So, but these are all in a spectrum, sometimes as explicit as like this, sometimes more nuanced, like the house. But how do I identify this? If I am being disturbed by the idea itself, it's not mine, first and foremost. The second thing is, does it have a reality, is what I need to ask. Because the reality of whisper is, it's a lie. When Satan came with the whisper to Adam alayhi salam, saying that this fruit is going to give you eternity, I need to ask the question, is it really? Can a fruit give me eternal satisfaction? Something that I am expecting, is this title going to give me the satisfaction that I am seeking for? So, and if not sure, give it a try. You will be instructed by the Creator, because I am also given this internal compass, which will then say, no, still, I get the title, and still they say, okay, it was not doctorate, it is associate, it is, I don't know, full professor. This is when. So the satisfaction seems to be going away as I start getting those titles. It's just going far and far. But you said the highest degree was doctorate. If I get it, I would feel satisfied and perfect. No, we were just tricking you. Next one. So what is the reality? The reality, the internal compass would confer. What else? What else could be reference points for truth versus waswasa? Any idea? Yes.
Question
Okay.
about that. So like, what if it's, okay, because I was thinking if the whisper is like helplessness in the sense of like, let's say like your community, or like, I don't know, I guess. If, like a pride of a country, for example, like you have a huge nationalism for a specific country, you're like, this country isn't winning, this isn't whatever. And in the back of your head, like your thoughts are always like, okay, what can we do to improve this? Or what can we do to improve that? This idea of just like, but you're thinking on it from your whispers out from a perspective, like, they might fluctuate. They might be like, oh, you might be able to contribute, or it might be like, this is hopeless anyway. Like helplessness versus like, so, because I don't know, because I feel like when I think whisper that just applied to me, I'm like, yeah, I understand your point, but I'm like, when it comes to community and how we think of like the world and political issues, then I'm more like, isn't that also a form of whisper? It's this idea of like desiring a control that's very specific to my vision of how I want to see certain people succeed or not succeed or whatever.
Okay.
So like, how does that apply?
So I mean, this is a good point, especially with Nas being plural. So we are not only talking about insan, but we are talking about Nas, Rabbin Nas, Malikin Nas, Ilahin Nas. So the creator of mankind, maintainer of mankind. So waswasa at the level of society, what would that mean? So lies at the societal level that's out there being instructed to us as a society. And how can I spot them? So I talked about two so far, actually one, which was wijdan, the conscience, the internal compass, which will tell me that. But what else? The verse was talking about, the last verse that I showed was talking about Allah wa'adakum, inna Allah wa'adakum. What is the wa'adakum wa'ad al-haq? Inna Allah wa'adakum wa'ad al-haq. So Allah God gave you a true promise. What is God's promise? How do I see that? How can I confirm that? What is God's promise? How can I spot it? Because it looks like there are potentialities out there. Some of them are made by God as true promises. And then there are other suggestions. So let's say, let me give one. Your friend's suggestion. So let's say we happen to be like this, and we evolve, we change, I change, or the cell changes by itself, or things happen by itself, however you would like to take it. Okay, things happen by itself, or this falls, which is a suggestion, it falls by gravity. Okay, so Creator comes in Revelation, says, your Creator is constantly creating. Let me translate it as like that. At every moment, he is at work. A little bit of a pre-translation. Creator says, I keep pulling it down, or I create it frame by frame, or every moment of creation you observe, I am the one who do it. Now you have two suggestions. And you have the creation in front of you. Which one supports, like the creation, the thing that you observe, which one does this support? Does this support the idea of, well, laws make it, it happens by itself, or it supports there must be a one who is creating this every moment? This is how I understand wa'adakum wa'ad al-haq. Revelation comes and tells me something that I can confirm. This is what haq means. It's something that's confirmable. Otherwise, how would I distinguish right from wrong? Right is something that you can confirm. Wrong is it doesn't have any truth. It's a lie. So Satan comes with a lie. It might be fancy words, but the thing is it doesn't have any truth behind it. But there must also be a wa'ad al-haq coming from the Creator. Where is that wa'ad? Where is that alternative claim? Revelation and messenger bringing that revelation, and not only taking it as an abstract philosophical idea, but saying that, look, the house that you will buy is not going to give you satisfaction. The one who creates you and creates the house is the one who creates satisfaction. This message that the messenger will come, with that message, apply it in my life. Can I confirm that? This is where, if it is truth, I can confirm it, because with the internal compass now, I am completing the pieces now. There is revelation, there is messenger, there is the creation through which Creator communicates with me, using which I can confirm whether what is being suggested is true or false. And on top of that, I am given this internal compass, conscience. These are the four. The wa'ad al-haq, the true promise is there, and there's a way for me to verify it. On the other hand, false promise is also there, but I'm not able to confirm it. It doesn't have any truth. When I ask the question, what do you mean by law? Like laws do not act. They're simple observation of a pattern. Like their knowledge. Knowledge do not do anything. Then Satan said, well, I just suggested, just an idea. So this is an example of a societal level of whisper right now, which we are all following. At individual level, you and I follow it. But at a societal level, if I say I don't believe in gravity acting on this the way you mean it, they would say, well, in which age are you living? They would mock me. So, but more so what your question was about, what's my reference point? So the reference point in this case is going to be the message at the hand of the messenger as I apply it to the existence here, because this is how I will confirm its truthfulness and see if the internal compass is satisfied by it. Those four components needs to be there.
So if you go back to the audience, why listening to like different people talking about different type of waswasa, I felt like, I had some preconceived ideas of waswasa. I have some definitions from my culture, the people I live with, and so on and so forth. Then I asked the question how Quran, talks about it, rather than coming with, a definition of waswasa is this, and let's try to apply it here. Here, as if Quran, like when it starts with you guys beautifully summarized what you did last week about how you define the human with respect to Rab, Ilah, Malik, and so on. So it starts with a human condition. This is you. You need to be taken care of. You need to be shown the right and wrong, and so on. Then talks about waswasa, which we don't know what it is yet, and says, you in your chest, sometimes you have these things. And I say, yeah, sometimes, I have this, as if a tiny people talking to me, telling me something out there. I say, but sometimes they are good, right? Like I see as, to give an example, I see something happens in a political arena or international arena, and I see something is bad happening, and there is this feeling in me says, Birkan, this is bad. And I find it to be useful, this, the talking. Birkan, it is bad, you shouldn't do this, or you should try to, prevent it, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, there are some talks going on there in my chest, which I can see that it leading me either by just looking at it, as you said, or sometimes when I try and experience it as Adam does, when I experience it, I see the shell in it. So there are certain talks in me which leads me to evil. Right? I see that people are suffering. I say that this is bad. And at the same time, there's another talk in me says that you see, Birkan, the creation is full of terrible things. The first one takes me to let's say, peace. Because it says this is terrible, Birkan, this is not good. And from there, I know that, okay, there is someone who's telling me that this is not good. So there must be one with, there must be a just one. There must be a merciful one. The first thoughts lead me this point. But the second one, Birkan, the creation is full of terrible things. Look at these people, what they are doing. The second one leads me to, if just this, I cannot live in this world. And there is nothing I can do. There is nothing anyone can do. So Quran says these things that, this hearing, that the sounds that you hear, some of them takes you to evil. So you should be separating them. You shouldn't be falling into the second type, the one with the shell. And how you do that? Like at first, a few ayahs said, oh, you cannot do it. You have to surrender. You have to seek refuge to the one who can. Mm-hmm. Who can teach you what is waswasa and what is not. Mm-hmm. So even when we ask the question, what is waswasa, instead of saying that this is waswasa and trying to apply it there, like how it applies to, the one human relationship between human and so on. Quran says, no, you will not be able to do it yourself. You will only see that some of them will lead you to shar, evil. And you have to seek refuge in Rab, in Malik, in Ilah, who can teach you, show you what is right, what is wrong.
And also look at it from Rububiyyah point of view. Like, let's say a war is happening, children are dying and whatnot, and I say, like, there's mercy and whatnot. Look at it from the provider, sustainer is taking place with his will that's being created. Malik, your sovereign, is also the sovereign over them, is the sovereign over the the oppressor. Look at from that lens, then you will see that the whisper will fade away. So if I start seeing it as uncontrolled attacker is attacking me with those whispers, no. Like it is more like a you get this homework assignment, you're so much stressed. How am I going to do it? You're freaking out. Send this email to the professor, and then the professor is reminding me about him as every single line of that assignment, I have written it, knowing where you're coming from, what you're going to end up being after 4 years. And exactly at this moment, you need this. So look at it from this Rab, me as a Rab, me as a Malik, me as an Ilah. Probably I was forgetting Rab, Malik, and Ilah. And this is why those waswasa was looking so frightening to me. But if I reevaluate what the waswasa is saying by considering who is my Rab? Is my Rab that tree that I'm expecting to give me eternity? Is my Malik the tree that's going to make me like angels, referring back to the story of Adam alayhi salam? Who is my Ilah? Is it the tree? Then this is clearly a waswasa. So we are falling prey to waswasa. Like when Atik was making a comment about my beard and saying that you don't look good, and I start getting anxiety, I say, where does goodness come from? Is it Atik's eyes that makes me good or bad? Value, where does it come from? So who is my Rab? Who is my Malik? Who is my Ilah? Is Atik's comment any part of that? So I can, actually taking these first three in this sense could be realigning myself about a reference point for truth. If I start using others' values as truth, not the revelation, not the messenger, because this is how am I going? It's hard to identify them if I so much caught up with the society itself, the norms of the society. Because our, if you like, the basis for truth, relative point for truth is really, oh, this is how I have seen from my forefathers, as Quran keeps telling us, which simply means this is the cultural norms. This is what it is. Like Quran says, our forefathers have been doing it as such. It simply means, oh, these are the cultural norms. This is why we worship those idols and whatnot. And there's a cultural norm of how I wear, how I spend, how I do this and that, right? If this is my value of truth, I will very easily fall prey for those whispers. But if I recondition myself and say, look, I am a human being, I'm not an animal. And I have a Rabb, I have a Malik, I have an Ilah. I need to consider these suggestions from that point of view. Then this is how I am starting to get realigned. So in this sense, a lot of questions there, but the gist of the matter is, by my creator saying that these whispers are outsourced, it's first, as a human, this saves me from anxiety. Saying that my creator is saying that those false ideas are not yours if you do not confirm them. So you're not responsible for them, but you need to be careful with them. They are there for your training, for your education, but it's being whispered to your chest. It's not part of your heart. And I think it's a beautiful choice of word that it is sudur An-Nas, like it's sadr, but it's not fuad, it's not qalb. It's not part of you. Those whispers are not part of you, but it is being spoken to you. So you are not held accountable for those ideas, for those suggestions. But if you accept them, this is then, and Satan said, I didn't have any power over you. This is where your responsibility comes. So in this regard, this is preserving, I would say, human dignity. You are not evil. Human is not evil. So is being vulnerable to whispering a human defect? No, it's part of humans' education. This is how education is defined for me. Sometimes a question comes when this is the topic, oh, wouldn't it be better if God didn't create human like this and that and whatnot? Like that type of questions, like the structure of the question is wrong. Because I am exploring the existence, which is what I have at hand. And I'm trying to learn how I am made. Quran is describing me how I am made, rather than trying to re-engineer existence. I am learning how he made me. Because unless I really have this all-encompassing knowledge, I wouldn't be able to say that, oh, yeah, it would be better if God created human like this and that. This is why such questions doesn't take me anywhere. Yes.
The angels bowed down to Adam anyway. We have the potential to be a superior creation.
Yeah. So that's a good point. So say angels in there were saying that they're going to shed blood. So are you going to create them? Then the creator said, I know that which you do not know. And then by that story, it's expressing that despite the human having the potentiality to shed blood or spread corruption, because of this ability to choose right or wrong, human is going to give the fruit of Muhammad والسلام, again because of that. So humanity gave the fruit of Pharaoh because of that, and Satan because of that, but also gave the fruit of Muhammad والسلام, because of that. So that aspect of human. So the tool itself is not evil. Long story short, abusing it is evil. Yes, we have 1 more minute. Min al-jinnati wan-nas. This is why you were here for the past 2 weeks.
We only have 1 minute for this.
We are over time.
Oh.
So min al-jinnati wan-nas. That whisper is no. this An-Nas, this whisperer, the sneak whisperer is of jinn and of mankind. And I have a ton of questions about that. Who are jinn? Do they exist? What are they like? What is the evidence for it? How do you, if at all, interact with the jinn?
So maybe as a homework, you can ask people to bring jinn stories for next week.
Yes, come with your jinn stories next week and blankets.
Do a field trip to Kensington.
Okay, so there's this mentioning of jinn here and also An-Nas here, interestingly, which then becomes a question. What does it mean that sneaking whisper is of the mankind too? Yes.
I think this sort of like normalizes Jinnat, like, because I feel like we normally only imagine them in like evil settings or in like scary settings, but this is sort of saying that, you know, there can be bad people and bad Jinnat, but like they're not, the creation itself isn't evil or bad.
Yes. And like jinn stories is a different genre, I would say, of stories. But the way Quran is explaining it is nothing of sort of jinn stories, which makes me think that jinn stories are another form of whisper. What is the reality of those jinn stories? Like, shall I take them seriously? Or shall I take Quran's way of explaining them to me as serious? Because what is relevant to me, my creator tells me of them, so it is relevant to me, but my creator does not tell me of them the way that jinn stories tell me about jinns. So it's telling me in the context of whispers. There's also Surah Jinn. More details in there, but again in the same line of thought. And in here, giving min al jinnati wan nas to conclude with this, which I guess we'll need to discuss this next week too. But when it comes to whisperer, I am being given the example of sneaky whisperers from among men. Do they exist? Yeah. Yeah, their counterparts exist, but they're not visible to you. The evidence, well, I gave you.
Let's focus.
Okay, well.
I think this also made me think of the question of am I the whisperer?
Okay.
So because I feel like you do tend to like encourage people sometimes to do like bad things that you think are cool. Especially, for example, if you've done something in the past, right? Or if you do something, if you're habitual of a bad behavior, you could encourage other people to normalize it for yourself also. So do I think of this as I am also a whisperer? Or I could be.
Yeah, and I guess this could give you some first-hand experience of what it might look like. Let's conclude here, inshallah. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين